Hey, what's good? I'm Kinell and this is Sinister Cinema, where we get deep into the guts of classics and new releases from horror and exploitation cinema. Yes it is. Be sure to follow us up on the socials. That's Sinister_Cinema on your Twitter and Sinister.Cinema on your Insta. Okay, I haven't posted in about a week. I did have something planned for yesterday, but I decided to put it on hold for a bit on account of the incredibly sad passing of the legend John Saxon. So I wanted to do a bit of something for him because he's been in a lot of films that mean a lot to me, an incredible actor and a great loss to cinema in general. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about his passing or anything like that because I don't know these things. It's not my place to go on about them. But what I will say is that a lot of his films have meant a lot to me over the years, and these ones that I'm going to show you now are ones that are personal favourites of mine. So if you see one that isn't particularly highly rated, I'm not trying to be out here trying to be controversial or anything like that. I just genuinely love this shit. And also I'm going to try and stick to sort of the Sinister Cinema vibe. So it's not going to be so I haven't included Enter the Dragon, things like that, and it's a banger. He's been in all sorts. He's been in every kind of genre, westerns, fucking all sorts of dramatic roles. But I'm strictly concentrating on the kind of things that I normally cover here. So first up, 1980s Cannibal Apocalypse.
My God, son, put it down. Cannibalism.
A Vietnam vet, barricaded in the flea market, taking pot shots at the cops outside.
Okay, that's enough.
Wait a minute. Please try to understand. Listen to me. While she was here, I had this urge to bite her. To bite her, you understand? Like Bukowski.
We got it. There's no exit there.
Cannibal Apocalypse. This one directed by Antonio Margheriti. I think it's also known as Invasion of the Blood Hunters or something crazy like that. Yeah, I think Antonio Margheriti goes under a different name for this one. A lot of the Italian directors did when they're doing something directed in America. This particular set in America. This one is no mistake. Now it's called Cannibal Apocalypse and it was classified as a video nasty, but that might have had more to do with the fact that people thought it was one of those proper nasty in the jungle cannibal holocaust fucking cutting dicks off, eating dicks, actually murder a turtle type films, but it's not one of them. It might have got lumped in with them, and I think the packaging kind of hinted towards that, so it got caught up in the video nasties things, but there is a fair bit of gore on display. However, it's a bit more interesting than those things in terms of what it's trying to do. It's sort of got John Saxon plays the lead role in this, and it concerns like him and various other people from his troop in Vietnam that are all left a bit shell-shocked, and fucking some shit happened to them, might be some kind of virus similar to rabies or something that caused a desire to eat human flesh. So there's what we call it, kind of a zombie element to this and all, but again, it's not really a zombie film, and it's quite I really like the way that it sort of focuses on how the war has affected them, because I mean films were only just really starting to fucking pick up on that. And the sort of first guy, like the main guy who they found eating some shit in Vietnam, he's called Charles Bukowski, and they say his name a lot, and it's really fucking distracting. But yeah, the scene where he's fucking like in some kind of store holed up with a shotgun, fucking saying fuck you to the police and fucking raging off his head, it's fucking like, you know, it's like, kind of reminds me a lot of fucking hostage situations, mass shooter situations that we have today, and fucking, you know, so I would say that it's highly likely there's some kind of metaphor for PTSD in there, but it's just a banging film outside of that, and it wouldn't be anywhere near as good if it wasn't for John Saxon in the lead role. Now in it, he's kind of like, he wasn't as effective at the time. He was the leader of these of this platoon that came across this fucking virus, fucking rabies thing, but it hasn't affected him thus far, but he's starting to get nightmares, he's starting to get visions, and it's slowly starting to affect him, and that image of like his past creeping up on him, and the things he's seen, and the things that he's borne witness to, slowly getting to him and affecting him, makes this a much more powerful piece of cinema than it has any right to be. As I say, a lot of people actually don't like this one, because it might be a bit too much, bit too far down the older exploitation route for some people, but to me, I think this is a banger, well underrated and worth checking out. Next up, Nightmare Beach.
1 week of non-stop partying guarantees to blow away so many brain cells you won't even remember your name. Oh, wow! Every one of these years, by sunrise Easter morning, well, I'm telling the whole school you're a bender.
I want to get off of this thing!
Welcome to spring break, the annual migration of the idiot.
Hey, biker parking only. Get a grip.
Chill out. Look, we don't want any trouble, all right?
Edward Diablo Santor, the state stands ready to execute you as charged. Do you have any last words?
May the Lord have mercy on you.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Some drunk breakers. Thinking it's a fun trick. Sick Diablo's biker buddies.
He vowed he was coming back.
This is yours. Assaulting an officer with a deadly weapon. That's cause to blow your fucking pretty head off.
Who killed my friend?
Nightmare Beach. I won't hang around too long on this one because I already covered it once when I was doing the beachside slashers, the summer slashers episode, and yeah, fucking, so that's what it is. It's a slasher set at the fucking beach, hence the nightmare thing. Lot of interesting stuff going on here. Fucking, what should we call it? Killer who has a fucking electric motorbike which he electrocutes people and all kinds of crazy shit like that. Go back and check my summertime slashes episode if you want to hear about it in a bit more depth. But John Saxon again here, working with Umberto Lenzi. Now here's a bloke who fucking like doing those fucking cannibal films of the type I was referring to earlier. There's a man who was not afraid to chop up a turtle for comedy effect. Well, graphic effect, whatever. But this is more of a regular slasher set in America concerning some killings that are happening in the aftermath of a serial killer who's been put to the electric chair, comes back, all kinds of things. John Saxon, again, in a film which probably wouldn't warrant the kind of gravitas that he brings to it. He brings that gravitas, he does it, and fucking this is why I love him in genre cinema, because fucking there's a lot of dodgy performances in the kind of shit I watch, and fucking John Saxon was never guilty of that. Always brought 110% to the shit. So yeah, Nightmare Beach, that one well worth checking out. Next one, according to my notes down here, yes, speaking of slashers, let's have a look at the original 1974 Black Christmas.
A high school girl's been murdered. Mr. Harrison's daughter is missing. And now at the house where she lives, the other girls are getting obscene phone calls.
Yeah, what I've done is I've tapped his phone so that when it rings, it'll ring at the station house, too.
There was a little girl murdered over in the park tonight. Yes, I heard. Your phone's ringing. Hello?
Hey, Mommy. Hey, baby. Baby, all right, Mommy.
Who's there?
I know you're there. Now see me. You answer me in bed. Mommy. Come here.
Where's Agnes?
You want
What are you doing?
This is Graham. It's Group 140, Terminal 55.
Remember those idyllic scenes out of your childhood? Crisp winter nights, star bright, sleigh bells, crackling Yule logs, candlelight glistening off of shimmering Christmas trees, chestnuts roasting over open fires, carolers beneath snow-covered window ledges. Remember those. Remember them well. After Black Christmas, they'll never be the same again. Black Christmas, starring Olivia Hussey, Keir Dullea, Margot Kidder, and starring John Saxon as Lieutenant Fuller. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Black Christmas, 1974. Hey, there's a lot that's said about this. Some people will tell you that this is the original slasher. I tend to disagree with that. It's certainly the slasher boom was certainly kick-started in America by Halloween, as we know, and Halloween was definitely influenced by Black Christmas, I think. But at this point, we'd already had some like proper exploitation slasher type stuff. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was out the year before. There was already this kind of thing in the atmosphere. And of course you had Giallos kicking off around that, much earlier than that, a decade earlier in the case of some of Mario Bava's work. But that is not to discredit how much of a banging film this is, and it is certainly very influential. I'd say it was big in bringing the sort of stalky slasher element to it, and it was interesting in that whereas the Giallos were more sort of murder mystery kind of things, and they came from those murder mystery thriller book origins, this was based on pretty much the urban legend of the killers in the house, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's quite interesting. I think that was an element that would go on to influence things. But anyway, we are talking about John Saxon, and no one does the grizzled, pissed off cop who's dealing with exceptional circumstances better than Saxon. Smashes it out the park here. Absolutely astonishing performance, as per fucking usual. This film, well worth checking. The remakes, however, shite. I'm not going to elaborate, they're just shite. But now, since we're talking about Giallos, Tenebrae.
Filthy, slimy
I've read all your books, Mr. Neal. The book deals with a murder committed with an old-fashioned open razor, right? This girl, too, was killed with a razor, and your book's pages stuffed into her mouth.
Can I ask you something? If someone is killed with a Smith & Wesson revolver, do you go and interview the president of Smith & Wesson?
Peter, you can't let me down now. We're within 2 days of making a deal. Please, stay just until Friday.
My life is in danger. There's no deal in the world worth risking my life for.
Not anxiety or fear, but freedom. You wrote those words, page 46. Freedom to strike again, Peter.
Listen, don't hang up. We have to talk.
You told me how, Peter Neal. You and me together. We've just begun.
Jesus. All the time.
Spy. Damn little spy.
Peter? Oh. Come on, hurry. Oh. You'll be okay. We've got to get out of here. The guy has an axe.
Could it be somebody I know?
I wish I'd never written that book.
You don't mean that.
I've made charts. I've tried building a plot the same way you have. Tried to figure it out, but
I just have this hunch that something is missing. A tiny piece of the jigsaw. Somebody who should be dead is alive, or somebody who should be alive is already dead.
Explain that.
You know, there's a sentence in a Conan Doyle book. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
Dario Argento's Tenebrae. I cannot say enough about how much I love this film. Incredible piece of work, and I think it's my favourite giallo altogether, if I'm honest. There's a lot going on here. This really ups the body count on a lot of giallos, and fucking some of the set pieces, fucking remarkable, and some of the framing, and some really influential use of cinema technique. Fucking that big old tracking shot. The fucking everyone from Scorsese to De Palma, they were all jacking the style after that one. This film absolutely, when people ask me to recommend it as giallo, this is the first one I recommend. Incredible piece of work. So it goes a much deeper than other ones thematically, with the whole thing of everyone having a doppelganger, an evil and opposite, and the uses of colour to fucking connect certain things together. It's fucking, you can, I'd recommend looking into, after you've seen this film, because watch it directly if you haven't. If you have, watch it again because it's banging. I'd recommend having a look at some other resources on that, because in terms of its influence on cinema and a lot of the things that were going on, fucking, there's people who are a lot more intelligent and qualified to talk about them things than me, and fucking I'd recommend listening to them instead of me trying to bullshit my way through it. But again, we have John Saxon smashing it again. Fucking I'm trying to think of something a bit more varied to say about he smashes it every time, but he does. He really genuinely fucking does. Fucking he's brought so much fucking power and performance to these films that I fucking rave about to this day. Things that have been so influential in my taste in films to this day. So, for the final one, there's a very big personal one for me. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
A dirty brown hat. He's horribly burned. He has razors on his right hand.
Man of my dreams. He's real, isn't he?
He's real.
Let go of him, you bastard.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 The Dream Warriors is my favourite Nightmare on Elm Street film, and of all the big franchises, Nightmare on Elm Street is my favourite. Yeah, they got a bit daft, and yeah, what should we call it? I will say that fucking this was the point at which big ups to Wes Craven for creating such an original fucking piece of work that incited a movement, but this is where the Freddy films fucking nailed it. When the puns were there but not excessive, and the fucking kills and the practical effects, it was just so original. Fucking incredible work. Now obviously John Saxon here is reprising his role from the first Nightmare on Elm Street film. You know, as Nancy fucking Heather Langenkamp's dad. Nancy, I can't remember her fucking name. What's her name? But yeah, and he fucking did well in that and all, like, you know, obviously, as he does. I was speaking to, if you know your battle rap, I was speaking to O'Shea about his performance in this, and like in his performance in the original was decent. It's fucking he's just the thickest character in it. Like, he just cannot get his head around the fact that fucking Nancy needs help, and it is kind of frustrating. But also he is just kind of like a stereotypical dad character, you know. That's just, you know, he's a dad, he's a grizzled cop, like, there's not so much to do with the character. He does really well in it. But in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, that's where he really comes into his own, where he himself has been affected by the trauma of the things that happened, and maybe how he let his daughter down and her friends down, and it's sort of kind of driven him to alcoholism, and his life's kind of taken a bit of a spiral. So it adds another layer to the character when he's performing it in this particular film. And obviously he's there at the big face-off at the end. Incredible stuff. Maybe I'll do a deep dive into Nightmare on Elm Street, because I think everyone does one of them at one point. They rank as their favourite Nightmare on Elm Street. But yeah, spoiler warning, my favourite is this one. Banger. And shout out also Wes Craven's new Nightmare, where he returned playing himself. Because if you can get John Saxon playing himself, why don't you do that? So yeah, that's my tribute to well, fucking not really a tribute. All I've done is just go on about how he was acing some fucking films I like, you know. Fucking, you could go elsewhere for more heartfelt tributes, and you could go elsewhere for more in-depth analysis of these things. But anyway, so yeah, that's been Sinister Cinema. Be sure to if you agree with these things, if you've got other ones you feel I may have missed, as I say, these it is just my personal favourites, these. So obviously they're not going to be the same as everyone's. I'm not trying to be controversial by leaving certain things out or whatever. This is just what I like. So let me know maybe your favourites down there in the comment section. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Follow us up on the socials. That's Sinister_Cinema on your Twitter and Sinister.Cinema on your Instagram. I'm Kinell, and this is Sinister Cinema. Safe.